My next guest does not need an introduction. Colby Chaos Covington, fresh from the UK. Colby, how's it going, man?
It's going good. It's good to be back on U.S. soil. You know, the food in London sucks. The weather sucks. You know, the women suck. There's not a lot of good stuff to do. I mean, the experience was amazing because the UFC as a whole is an amazing, unforgettable experience every time. You know, you can't quantify how much fun that you have every time you go to an event. So shout out to the UFC for hosting another amazing pay-per-view. But I'm just, I'm thankful to be back on U.S. soil, and I can't wait to get ready to take my title.
When did you get back? Because you got back pretty quickly, like right after the event, it looked like.
Yeah, I got back last night. I think around like 8:30 p.m. I'd walked in the door to my house. So, we flew out. Our flight was at noon out of London, and they're 4 hours ahead. So we got back last night, and now it's, get ready for a title fight and get back to work.
Let's talk about the fact that you were the backup for the title fight on Saturday. Dana had mentioned that he contacted you on Tuesday. Take me through that entire thing. He calls you up, and then I guess you have to get on a plane right away. What would exactly happen?
Yeah, so they called me Tuesday night, and they were like, "Hey, Colby, we need you to be the backup and weigh in and weekend in London." And I, of course, the ultimate professional that I always am, I've never turned down a fight. I've always told them the honest truth, James. I said, "Hey, I'm ready to go anytime. You call me, like, this is my life. I'm 24/7 fighter. I'm ready to fight on a day's notice." That's how confident I am in my skills and being the best welterweight fighter in the world right now. So they called me Tuesday night. Around like 9:30 p.m. they said, "Hey, Colby, we're going to put you on a flight tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, and you'll get into London Thursday morning, and you'll make weight Friday morning." So I said, "Let's do it," and I knew that the challenge that I had, James, but, I thrive in challenges and when there's pressure and on my back, that's when I'm at my best. So, I was 18 pounds overweight when I got to London, James. I had one day to cut that weight. I didn't cry. I didn't make excuses. I went out there and I did the work. I didn't say, "Oh, UFC, I might not be." No, I didn't second guess myself for 1 second. I know the ultimate professional I am, and I wanted to show the UFC that I'm ready for any of them. And on a moment's notice, I was ready to take that world title.
Did they give you any reason why they contacted you so late on the fight? Was there any reason? We'd heard some rumblings about Usman maybe having an injury. Was there any talk of that, or was they just told you, "Hey, we need you for Saturday on Tuesday"?
Yeah, so they had called a couple weeks before, like 3-4 weeks before. I had talked to Hunter Campbell, and Dana and the brass at the UFC, and they had said, "Just stay ready, just in case. You don't know what's going to happen. One guy could get injured. Anything could happen. Just stay ready, just in case." So I hadn't heard anything up until Tuesday of fight week. So I kind of had written the ship off. I'm like, they're locked in. Those guys are going to fight. They're going to go ahead. And I'm going to get the winner. So I was locked in on just waiting and getting the winner. But when they called Tuesday night, it was a great opportunity. I was excited. I was clamoring at the bit because I was ready. For my whole life, I've been working hard and ready for this moment. So when they called Tuesday night, I thought it was the perfect Cinderella story to go into London and crash to London and make it a reenactment of 1776 where the U.S. buried the British.
Did you hear any rumblings about an Usman injury? Because there was something floating around on social media about that. Were you aware of it?
I heard some rumblings. Dude, you never can trust anything Marty says, man. The guy, he showed up after the Woodley fight in a wheelchair, and then the next day he's attacking me in the Palms buffet line. The guy's always got a cast on his hand. Like, he's just looking for leverage and negotiation and trying to get more money out of it. What I saw out of Marty is just a shell of his former self. The 2 fights with me added up. You could tell the wars have gotten to him. He's a little older, and he has different priorities now. He's trying to get into Hollywood. He's doing the acting with the Black Panther. So just the guy's not the same guy. He's a little bit older now. So, but on the other flip side, you got a guy in Leon Edwards who I thought couldn't be any more of a cheater than Marty Fake Newsman. You got a guy Leon. He's out there poking the guy in the eyes, kicking him in the nuts, grabbing the fence, and then Herb Dean stops the action, and Herb's like, "Yo, Leon, what are you doing, man? You can't grab the fence." Leon tries to deny it in front of the whole world, James. He's trying to deny it. Dude, the whole world just saw you completely, blatantly grab the fence, and now you're going to deny it? And that whole thing as a whole is interesting. I'd love to hear your take on what you think should happen if a guy blatantly, like, 2 hands, like, grabbing the fence like that, if they should take a point, take away the position, or keep you in the position and take away the point as well.
Well, I think like you said there, taking, or like what Herb did was taking away the point. I think that's more than fair. But you're right. If it's like something that keeps happening, then that's where maybe you got to have some stiffer penalties here, because you're right. A couple things happen in that with the nut shot and then also the fence grab, right? So
fence grab, the eye poke, the nut kick, like so many cheating fouls in the fight. The guy's a cheater, and it's blatant, and I can't wait to expose him and send him back to England crying in a pine coffin.
How did you score the fight? Some people felt it could have been a draw just with that point taken away in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really score fights. I wasn't really looking at the score of the fight. He was landing a lot of volume on kicks, so I could see why he could have got the nod. Usman wasn't really doing any damage with his takedowns or anything really effective with them. So, it was a close fight. It could have went either way. I think both men, they didn't look anything special. They didn't look that great. So, I'm clamoring. I'm licking my chops to get my hands on Leon now. And you can already see out of him, he's already afraid. He knows what's coming. He's looking for easy fights now. He knows the next guy in line is me, number 2 in the welterweight rankings. I beat more former world champions than him. So, I have a way better resume. And Leon right now is nothing more than a placeholder. And I'm going to be the real undisputed welterweight champion soon.
You guys had your moment. He was in the cage and you were outside the cage. Are you surprised they didn't bring you into the cage? Because they did that with Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski when Islam beat Oliveira.
Yeah, I was surprised, but Leon doing what he does best, fumble the moment. That's why he's not a primetime fighter, James. That's why he's not a star like me. He doesn't sell fights. He's just, there's no charisma there. The guy mumble and fumble. Blah, 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 blah. Take those fucking marbles out of your mouth, Leon. So that guy's a fucking joke. He messed up the moment, and there's a reason that he's not a pay-per-view seller like myself.
I know you said if you got in the cage, you would have told Leon you were going to take his soul. I saw your interview with Submission Radio. Would you have not given him the MyBookie code like you told Usman after your rematch?
Of course. You gotta end every promo like that. So letting them know, use code Colby at MyBookie.ag to get a 50% deposit bonus on your first deposit. So shout out to MyBookie AG.
Yeah, there you go. What about the style matchup with you and Leon? Kind of looking at what he brings to the table compared to what you do. How do you look at a fight with you and Leon, and how would that play out when it eventually does happen?
Yeah, I think it's a great stylistic matchup for me. Styles make fights. He doesn't fight very well against southpaws, and it's funny that I say that because it's ironic because Marty started out the first whole round in southpaw, and I remember the UFC camera was on me, and I was like, this is strange. Marty doesn't ever come out southpaw, let alone stay for that long. So I think he saw a weakness in Leon that he doesn't fight good against southpaws. I mean, look what happened when Leon fought a guy that I destroyed for 3 rounds straight, Brian Barberena. Brian Barberena dropped Leon with an uppercut, left uppercut, and he's a southpaw, and he almost finished him. And a lot of people thought Brian won that fight. So he doesn't do well against southpaws. It's a great stylistic matchup for me. He doesn't have as much hunger and as much heart as me, James. He's not a complete fighter like me. I'm going to expose him. I'm going to make him look bad. And that's why he's already hesitant to take the fight, and he's scared, and he's trying to find a way out. He's trying to look for easier contenders. Dude, you haven't even defended the belt yet. So now you got to come see the man, the pay-per-view draw, America's champ, the people's champ, Donald Trump's favorite fighter, and the king of Miami.
There's been obviously some stuff said about when you want to have this fight, and I know you mentioned International Fight Week, UFC 290. If that doesn't end up happening, are there any other cards you're looking at to potentially fight Leon?
I'm looking at every card, James. It could be this weekend's card. It could be next weekend's card. I want to get in there as soon as possible. I'm ready to go. As evident by last weekend, I showed up on Tuesday night in London on the other side of the world, ready to fight either fighter. It didn't matter which guy. I didn't know who was hurt, what was going on, but I was prepared to fight Leon or I was prepared to fight Marty. So, at any moment, the sooner the better. But, why not put this on the grandest stage, James? Put it at International Fight Week in July. They like to stack those cards, sometimes with multiple title fights. So, there's been rumblings that there might be Jon Jones and Stipe. Come on, we got so much history. Me and him being former roommates, I just want to take a chat with him, James. I just got a couple things to seriously ask, Jon Jones that the media is afraid to ask him.
What did you think of Jon's performance over Ciryl Gane in his last fight?
It just looked like Ciryl was scared of the moment. Too much pressure, too big. He was afraid. He shouldn't even have been in there that night. So, honestly, James, it looked like it was a work. It looks like it was a fix. Maybe Jon Jones's brothers went over to France and told Ciryl that, they're going to pay him under the table to take a dive, because that's honestly what it looked like.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Now, there's been some backlash to you getting this title shot I've seen on social media, which it seems like there's always naysayers when it comes to stuff like this. But what do you make of the people that say you haven't fought in a year, but then you got Leon, who was off for a year when he got his shot? You've got Tyron Woodley waiting a while to get a shot with Lawler. What do you say to those critics?
I just have to, if you think the nerd tears are flowing now, James, just wait till the nerd tears flow when I'm undisputed champion this summer. And that's the reason they're all crying, James, because it's not like they're crying because, oh, if Colby was going to get slaughtered or you send him into slaughter, they'd be like, oh, whatever, let him go get his ass whooped, we're next. But they know I'm about to be undisputed champion, so that's why they're crying. So the thing is, James, this isn't a sport or a game. This is a business. This is the entertainment business. We're making money for the UFC. So if you don't draw interest, that's your own fault. Go make yourself likable. Go make yourself a star. Like, no one's going to help you. That's what the UFC tells you all the time. Make yourself a star. It doesn't matter what your win streak is. I've been on long-ass win streaks, too. I'm the top of the world. Like, we've all done it. So, I haven't sat out. People have been ducking me. There was multiple fights offered to me. And just like Dana White said in the press conference after Jon Jones, Colby's accepted every fight. He's ready to fight everybody in the world. So, this isn't on me. This is on them. They need to go make themselves stars, and then we can talk.
What fights were you offered? Are you allowed to say like who you accepted a fight against and it didn't end up happening?
Yeah, except, I didn't see a contract for it, but I accepted a fight with Khamzat multiple times. I was going to end, Khamzat's hype. That dog face looking motherfucker's been talking a lot of shit in the media. Oh, the Colby this, oh, Colby that. No Colby this, no Colby that, bro. You fumbled it. You fumbled the fight. They gave you the easiest fight in the division, Soy Boy Diaz, and they wanted this fight to build towards my fight, and you couldn't even make the weight. And then you're joking on the scale. You didn't even, it wasn't even like you tried. Like, it wasn't a couple pounds, like 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds. 9 fucking pounds, dude. Like, the UFC PI invested so much into Khamzat to make the weight. Like, he'd been working in Vegas for weeks, I think months. I had heard like they gave him the best doctors, the best trainers, the best supplements, the best everything, and he still couldn't make the weight. And then he's joking on the scale like it's a joke, dude. Like, no, this is the Ultimate Fighting Championship. This is a business, man. Like, you're laughing at, like, making a mockery of my division, making a mockery of my company, the UFC that I love so much. So it's a joke, and that was the fight that was supposed to happen. And then obviously, the Dustin Poirier, that was the fight that the fans want to see. It's a big fight, there's a reason I left my old gym. It's because Dustin, he was crying to the owner, where Colby, kick him out. He says some mean things. I'm an Ultimate Feelings champion. Kick him out. He's not an Ultimate Fighting champion like me. So, it's sad because I was going to pound out Dustin worse than Conor pounds out Dustin's wife.
Was Dustin offered as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Dustin's afraid. He talked all that shit. Oh, I'm gonna come up to 170. Oh, I want to fight Colby. I'm gonna do this. He said on Twitter, it's on site. All these things. He even went on Twitter. I accept, but dude, he never accepted. The UFC gave him the fight. The biggest money fight that he was gonna get besides obviously Conor, and he fumbled it. He was afraid. He's scared. He doesn't want to step in the octagon because he knows he's gonna get melted by raw American steel. So. It is what it is. At least I exposed him. The biggest thing, I just wanted to expose Dustin because he walks around like he's a gangster. He'll fight anybody, this and that. I just want to expose him for the that he is and that he doesn't really take every fight. The guy picks and chooses his fights.
One name that we keep hearing is Belal Muhammad. Now, Belal claimed that he was offered a fight against you on London and you turned it down, but you're saying you've agreed to every fight. Was that something that actually came to fruition, you and Belal?
That's fake news, James. I don't even know who that is. We don't talk about prelim fighters. We talk about main event, main attraction, pay-per-view, main event stars. You until you're beating people in the top 3 consistently, like I've done, all the world champions that I've beaten in this sport, continuous world champion after world champion after world champion. Like no one's earned their spot at the top of the world and the top of the mountain and the ladder than me. And I put in the work, so I'm not going to pick some kid up who's at the very bottom of the prelims. You got to earn your way up here. And that guy's racist, man. He was saying that the only reason this happened is because I'm white. How is that? I
was going to ask you about that. What did you think about him deleting the tweet?
That's despicable. That's disgusting, man. I would never say that and use someone's color of their skin that's why they got that done. Disgusting, man. He should be literally fined and kicked out of the UFC.
What do you think would happen if you said that about another fighter's ethnicity?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I can't even imagine. My everything that I worked for my whole entire life would be shit. It would be sunken. My ship would be literally sunken. Like that would be the end of Colby Chaos Covington. But I would never say something so stupid because it has nothing to do with that ever. I don't care what color of the skin you are, man. That's not what I look into. I look at like the integrity inside your heart. The person that you are. I look at other things, how smart you are. It's just disgusting, man.
And just last thing on Belal, his case is that he's on this, unbeaten streak, right? He had the no contest with Leon. He's beat Sean Brady his last fight. Do you think he has a case for a title shot, or do you think they're right to give him, it looks like, Shavkat next?
We came here, James, today to talk about the big fights, the big pay-per-view draws. I could care less about some kid that's still on the pay-per-view. Earn your way up. Beat a former champion. Beat a top 3 fighter. You've never done that. Every fight that I've had has been in like the top 2 or 3 the last 10 years, like 6, 7 years, legit plus. So, I'm not going to worry about some little kid who's crawling, trying to beg and crying from the fucking, from the stream below, I'm not going to give him a hand up. That's not my responsibility. It's not my fault. You're not a star. You're a nobody, and no one gives a fuck about you. James, you have to go out there. You have to make yourself likable. You have to win the big fights. The big fights. Not against rising little prospects. I'm talking the big fights against world champions, against contenders, against the big dogs of the fucking division. We're not talking about prelim fighters. Last
thing on Belal here. It looks like he's going to fight Shavkat. Do you think Shavkat beats him? Because he's obviously coming off a nice win himself at UFC 285.
I don't know who any of these fighters are, James. I only know who the person that's in front of me, and that's Leon Scott. That's what Dana White said in the press conference. Doesn't matter what he does. Doesn't matter what happens between any other fighters, between Burns and George, between anybody else. It's me and Leon now. It's USA versus England. There's so many angles and storylines. Former champion versus former champion, winning streak versus winning streak. It's going to be a great fight for the fans, and he's already mentally broken now, so – he needs to pick himself up. He needs to get back in the training gym and bring your best effort, because when you bring your best effort this summer, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be good enough, Leon. You're going to get broken. You're going to get freaking exposed. And Colby Covington is going to be undisputed welterweight champion of the world. And it's going to be beautiful. You better build an arc, James. Because honestly, if you don't have an arc, you're going to flood. You and your family are going to flood. So don't say that I don't look out for the people, for the media. I look out for you guys. I look out for your families. So I'm just saying now, get your arc ready, because there's going to be a mass proportion of nerd flow of tears.
How many more times do you want to fight this year, as far as, because I'm sure you want to keep more active than you've been?
Dude, I've been ready to fight. I was ready to fight in the summer last year. I was ready to fight by November. This hasn't been on me. I want to fight. Everybody knows I love to fight. I want to fight 4 or 5 times a year. It was amazing when I got to fight Marty and beat him in Madison Square Garden last November 2021. Beat him 3 rounds to 2 easily. I thought I had him 4-1, but every fan in the building said I won 3-2. Just because the judges didn't agree and they gave him 3-2 doesn't mean that's the truth. The people know the truth. I'm the undisputed champ. I'm the real champ. I'm the man. So I beat him in November, and then I fought George in March, 3-month layoff. That's what I want. I want to be fighting every 3 months. I stay in shape. I'm ready for this. I prepared my whole life for this. I'm a blue collar, hardworking man. And I'm the cardio king for a reason. So I want to put in work and I want to be active. I'm in my prime right now, physically and mentally. I feel like I've never felt before, James. So I want to be able to capitalize off how I feel now and being in my prime and feeling the best I've ever felt. And I want to leave my legacy and my mark on the sport. That's what it's all about.
You were supposed to coach the Ultimate Fighter, and I think that's still one of the big misses by the UFC is not having you and Masvidal coaching together. But we now have Conor McGregor and Chandler coaching. Do you think that's the right call? Because we haven't had, as far as coaches go, we haven't had really any big personalities the last couple seasons.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely the right call. Conor's, he's the biggest draw in the UFC. He's the guy. He's the guy that, huge ticket sales. So what he's done in the sport, he's done things in this sport no one else has done. Just like myself, I've broken many records and made a lot of history in this sport. That guy's, he's done it. He's done so many great things. So Conor's a great fighter. He's done a lot of things that no one expected he was going to do. The thing when he gets 7-second knockouts in title fights, or how it was a short time, and just the things he did, in New York, and just, no one ever expects what you're going to get from him, but he's unpredictable, and he you can't take that guy lightly. So, I think the UFC did the right thing, and he was probably the only guy that could take the coaching spot from me. I was going to be the guy, and I was looking forward to that opportunity. I think I'd be a great coach, and that's something I might do later in life after my career. But, if there's going to be anybody that was going to get it, it was going to be him. But I was ready to go. And the UFC knew that. They knew I was ready to step in and be the coach. They knew I've been ready to step in and save these pay-per-views. So, that's why I'm fighting for the world title next.
Do you think Conor beats Michael Chandler when they do eventually fight?
Yeah, I do think he beats Chandler. I think Chandler's a little washed up now. I mean, he didn't even do anything in that other B-level organization. He was getting beat by scrubs. Scrubs that I trained with. This kid, Will Brooks, was beating him and knocking him out. So that guy, he's a scrub. I trained with that kid. I know how bad he is. So, I think Chandler's washed up, and it's a good fight for Conor. And Conor's going to go out there and spark him.
What did you make of Islam Makhachev beating Alex Volkanovski for the lightweight title?
He beat him? It didn't really look like he beat him. I mean,
it's a close fight, yeah.
He definitely didn't beat him by the fans' perspective. He didn't win over the fans with that fight. So, a lot of people thought, Volkanovski won that fight. So, and that's a featherweight. We're talking about a featherweight that you couldn't even beat. They came up from 45 to 55. So Makhachev has no reason to be talking right now. That guy needs to go to work. He needs to get a couple of title defenses, James. He needs to get in there, beat some contenders. You haven't even defended your belt yet, and you just lost to a midget, from featherweight. So that guy needs to stop talking. He has no room to talk. And just like his little mentor Khabib, he talked all those years, I'm going to go to 170, this and that, because the guy's cutting massive amounts of weight. He never came to 170 because the man's here. He doesn't want to fight the man. He knew the man that had the great style for him, the guy that was way more well-rounded, that could stuff his takedowns, be in his face, and punch him and putting volume on him, and that doesn't break under cardio. Like, that's what I do best. I would have walked him down. So, him and Makhachev need to shut their fucking mouths. They're all talk and no walk, like myself.
On that note as well, I know people have been asking you, I mean, obviously now you have the title shot, but there was, talk about you maybe going to 85 or you going to 155. Just sort of clarify that, because I know when we talked years ago, you said lightweight was never an option and middleweight, there really, maybe there was an option there, but I think now not so much.
Yeah, those were some things, James, that I talked about with the UFC behind the scenes, and I would have loved to try and make 155, but I don't want to do it to my body. It's not worth it. So that's a door that's just never going to happen. If there was something like a 160 or a 162, like, I think that's a realistic weight I could make, 161. But that extra 5 pounds of water that you'd be draining from my body and brain, I'm just not going to do it to go to 55. And I don't have to do it. I'm not a weight bully, James. And that's the whole thing with these guys that are weight bullies, like Khamzat. He's a weight bully. He's looking for cut 40, 50 pounds. Yeah, if I cut 40, 50 pounds, yeah, I'll be fighting, Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling. But, I'm not a weight bully. I don't need to do that. I'll fight it near my natural weight class, and that's going to be that. But 85 is more realistic. I'm willing to go to 85, because that's, right around where I walk around, 85, 90. So, I used to train with middleweights all the time because I wanted to get a feel for going with bigger guys when I got in there to fight welterweights, so they didn't feel so strong. And every time the 85ers, they were so easy to fight because, like, they're so much slower and they throw heavier punches. So, like, they wear out easier and just, like, they just commit themselves on punches, and it's just easy to take them down and submit them or finish them on the ground. So, I would love to go to 85. And Pereira's an easy matchup. Like, if I fight that guy, I'm going to put him on the ground and beat the shit out of him, break his will, and do what I do to Brazilians because I'm the king of Brazil.
Back to Islam here just quickly. There's a really cool video of you that's been online for a couple of years with you and a Muslim fan, and you talked about how I have a lot of support from Muslims, and you know how the media is. They always like to paint you a certain way, but what does that mean to have the support from all over the world, including Muslim fans? I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, it's very humbling. I respect and I appreciate everybody's different viewpoints, and everybody's allowed to have a different viewpoint. I don't think that everybody has to have the same exact views on religion or politics or everything in life, but we can all respect each other because you can respect someone's character, their integrity, the type of person they are. Are they a liar? Are they honest? So, I respect all backgrounds, all different religions, all different colors of skin, and it's all love and peace between me. Everybody knows that I'm a real down-to-earth person, and there's nothing fake about me.
What do you make of this Dagestani takeover in wrestling right now? You're a wrestler. What do you think of all the success that, like, Islam and some of these other guys have had?
It's been right time, right place. They've been able to fight guys that didn't have wrestling backgrounds. If they fought a guy that was a USA level wrestler, like Olympic level wrestler, they're gonna get smoked. It's not even gonna be competitive. American wrestling is much better and much more revolutionized and just a better style of wrestling that works in the UFC. That these guys have just been able to capitalize, right time, right place, with the right matchups.
And some people feel like Islam should be the number one pound for pound fighter right now. It's Jon Jones. What do you make of Jon having that top spot right now?
Yeah, he probably should. He's never lost a fight in the octagon. He has that one loss as a DQ, but But his body of work definitely speaks a lot more volumes than Islam. He hasn't even defended the belt yet, so I have no problem with that. It is what it is. But the people know who the undisputed number one pound for pound fighter in the world really is, and that's okay. It's Colby Chaos Covington, Colby Covington Incorporated, and we're coming to get our pound for pound ranking very soon.
Does Jon Jones beat Stipe in July if they do end up fighting?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Stipe, we'll have to see. Stipe's a lot older now, but he's an American. He's a blue collar. He's more importantly, he's a first responder here in America. So you got to respect the first responders, the people that sacrifice for our communities, for our country, and put it all on the line for us. So it's going to be his hardest fight. He ain't going to roll over and take a dive, that's for sure. He's already solidified his legacy. So it's going to be a great fight, and hopefully I can share the card with him. That'd be awesome.
What do you make of first round management and your former opponent and teammate having a split?
Man, I can't wait to see all the stuff that comes out between that. I want to see the facts. Who's going to rat out who did what. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds with that. I think there's more to come and more to hear from that. So we'll have to see when we get more facts.
And just last thing on management, what do you make of Usman's manager not being able to get Beneil Dariush a backup title spot and not getting Belal a backup title spot over you as well?
James, what I was going to ask about that? Why wasn't that guy in attendance in London, James? Could you tell me why?
I think if you do a little bit of digging, I don't believe he's allowed to leave the U.S., so...
Really? Why is he not allowed to leave the U.S.?
I think he might have had a checkered past, so to speak, to put it lightly. You can Google's your friend. There's a few things online about some of the activity that he's been involved with. But you're right. That's why he wasn't in Abu Dhabi. It's wasn't why he was in London as well. So I think you know the same stuff I do.
Wow, that's interesting, James. Ali Abdullah Sleaze is not allowed in the country. Hey, wow, man. Fans, do your research. What type of person that guy is?
My last question for you here: how did you get that girl to do the MyBookie ad with you when it was freezing cold out? Because even you were wearing a jacket.
Man, I got mamacitas all over the world, and everybody knows. Everybody will do whatever they're gonna do for Colby Chaos Covington. Girls, they want to please me, man. Look at the package that I am. I have a lot to offer, James. So. I can get a girl to do anything and anywhere in any part of the world. So, shout out to all the women out there. God bless.
There we go. Colby, thanks so much for doing this. Let people know where they can get a hold of you. Any sponsors? I know you got Bang Energy, MyBookie, anything you want to plug before we get out of here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, James. Shout out to my boy, Luigi Girardi, with the best fits in the game. He always keeps me suited and booted at my fights, which I always be taking over. When I walked out, that London crowd was lit. They got on their feet. They were screaming my name during the main event fight. Colby. Dude, the London people love me. I love the London people. I mean, they were giving me bigger pops than Spider-Man, than Jared Leto, all these big guys. It was incredible. So, shout out to Sartoria Girardi for suiting and booting me. Shout out to my new smile, Dr. Chris Ramsey out of Jupiter, Florida. If you guys want to get the best dentist in South Florida, man, hit up my boy Ritter and Ramsey over in Jupiter. And then shout out to, Bang Energy and MyBookie.ag, the best sponsors in the world that, lead my training camps and help me ready to prepare and get better every single time I step in that octagon.